Deathpixie disclaimer. This video was originally recorded in September 2024. There is swearing and profanity. Sources are listed in the description. This video is not monetized. Any ads you see provide revenue to the hosting site, not the creators. If you made it this far, geez, you have a lot of patience.
Deathpixie dancing on the lip of madness!
Welcome to Shitty PowerPoint Theater. Dignity not included.
Now, the next one, you had quite a bit of input on the pro-con list for the next prime minister, just so you know. So the next one is Sir John Thompson, and historians have labeled him as the greatest might have been of Canadian prime ministers. I was a member of the Conservative Party. His term was quite short, as you can tell. His wife was Annie Affleck. Far as I know, no relation to Ben Affleck, and she died after him. They had 9 children. Now then, this is Crabsworth's contribution to the entire thing. He went on a trip to London and died of a heart attack, and that's all he kind of got time to do.
He did pretty well.
But,
so you know,
it's sad he died very quickly, but it's also a plus that it wasn't a long, drawn-out death.
Yeah. Further to that, again, you see the caretaker motif again, only this time we don't know in what way he would have went for politics within Canada. For all we could have known, he could have been the greatest prime minister in history, but we'll leave that up to chance because he was in there for a coffee break, let's be totally honest.
He could have been the greatest prime minister. He could have been the worst prime minister. We don't know. This is Schrodinger's prime minister.
Yes.
All right, now this guy gets a mention as one of Crabsworth's one-hit wonders on the quotes.
Oh yeah, he is.
These Yankee politicians are the lowest race of thieves in existence. And that was to the United States government. I cannot remember what they did to deserve that, but it is a beautiful bit of shade. So on a few days into his second year, he died of a heart attack in Britain. He actually held office in all 3 branches of Canadian government, executive, legislative, and judicial, as well as all 3 levels, so municipal, provincial, and federal. Macdonald would say of him, my one greatest discovery was my discovery of Thompson. So he had quite a bit of respect.
Yeah.
Another party member would say, he won't even consider whether a thing is good for the party until he is quite sure it is for the good of the country. It should be noted
Which becomes quite shocking.
Yes. It should be noted that at the time of his death, he didn't have a lot of estate, so Parliament actually set up a fund to support his widow and their 9 children, by the way. So he actually didn't have a ton of money here. And that helped out. His widow would later go on to co-fund the National Council of Women and would serve as a president for a time. She was also the governor for the Victorian Order of Nurses. So interesting there as well. Whenever the bunch of Canadian historians get together and they rank the prime ministers, he is always named as a person of historical significance. Everybody is always curious about what he would have done. He did make a major speech to Parliament, his first one, during the debate, arguing that anyone who would encourage Canadians to act against the state could not escape justice. So he felt that this was in conjunction with Riel, So he felt that, yes, Riel should face justice. So, interesting thing. He was close to bringing Newfoundland into Confederation, but was unsuccessful. There was a reduction of trade tariffs and questions over schooling in Manitoba and the Northwest Territories. There were serious disputes about that, but it obviously didn't get resolved. There's a very interesting quote on Canadian suffrage, and I want this because, again, you've mentioned it, how the Conservative Party has changed. So
Yes.
this is on women's suffrage in particular. We look forward to it as one of the aims which are to be accomplished in the public life of Canada, because the Conservative Party believes that the influence of women in the politics of the country is always for good. I think, therefore, that there is a probability of the franchise being extended to the women on the same property qualifications as men. So he actually welcomed it. Interesting. Something to keep in mind as we move forward in history. And the sexy moose. So what did he do? He was a lawyer, he was a judge, he was the Attorney General in Nova Scotia, in the House of Assembly for Nova Scotia, Premier of Nova Scotia. He was on the Nova Scotia Supreme Court, and he actually founded the Dalhousie Law School and taught there. He was the Minister of Justice and the driving force behind the enactment of the Criminal Code of Canada, and he was the Prime Minister. He was also the first Roman Catholic to hold the position, which, I mean, I don't really care about your religious affiliation, but it mattered at the time. You have any final thoughts?
No, he's very much what might have been.
Yeah, pretty much.
Hey, this is Trapdoor Crabsworth for deathpixie. If you liked our content, please like this video and subscribe. And if you want to see more, just check out our links in the description. Do it. Do it or Miri will kill you.